Hi student, today lecture 15, topic name, urbanization, its hygienic aspect, ecological hygienic problem of urbanization, soil, hygiene. City. All over the world are getting bigger as more and more people move from rural to urban city, but that has created enormous problem with respect to environmental pollution and the general quality of life. Alan Dudens. Urbanization, the process by which an increasing proportion of the population comes to live in urban areas, has become a worldwide problem. Process of population migration from village to the city, increase in quantity of city and population in them. Urbanization is a reflection of population growth and opportunities in city. The population can grow either through increase in birth, decrease in death, for example, the natural increase, or increased immigration. Decreased immigration may reduce the loss of population if the rate of immigration does not also fall. Urban areas of the world are now experiencing both a natural increase and an increase in net migration to the city. There are four groups of cities depend on population number. Big city depend on number population, more than 250,000. Average city on population, 50, 100,000. In 1999, the world's population reached 6,000 million people, more than 3 times the population of 100 years ago. A 30% rise is predicted by the year 2010. Of this predicted growth, 90% is expected to occur in countries that are presently classified as developing countries. Urbanization is also occurring at a dramatic pace. The urban population of developing countries will double in the 20 years from 1990, which means that by 2010, well, over half the world population will be in urban center, or about 4,000 million people. By 2025, it's expected that more than 5,000 million will live in urban areas. Urbanization has been growing in developing countries at a much faster rate than in developed countries. It's estimated that by 2010, 60% of the developing country urban population will be living in stately towns or informal settlements. Common population has lived a rural lifestyle for most of history. The world's population, however, is quickly becoming urbanized as people migrate to the city. In the slide shows the urban population growth between 1950 and the year 2000. In 1950, less than 30% of the world population lived in the city. This number grew to 47% in the year 2000, 2.8 billion people, and is expected to grow to 60% by the year 2025. Developed nations have a high percentage of urban residents than less developed countries. However, urbanization is occurring rapidly in many less developed countries, and it is expected that most urban growth will occur in less developed countries during the next decade. The definition of an urban area changes from country to country. In general, there are no standards, and each country develops its own set of criteria for distinguished city or urban area. A city is generally defined as a political unit, a place organized and governed by an administrative body. A way of defining a city or an urban area is by the number of residents. The United Nations defines settlements of over 20,000 as urban, and those with more than 100,000 as city. A metropolitan area include both urban area and rural area that are socially and economically integrated with a particular city. City with over 5 million inhabitants are known as megacity. There are 5 functional zones of a city: inhabitant or residential, transport, industrial, suburban zone, economic zone. The basic unit of residential zone, inhabited quarter. The basic criteria necessary at definition of the size of residential zone of a city: population and height of building. Element of residential zone of city: inhabited quarter and administrative center, public building, green planting, streets and the area, place of mass rest of population. On each hectare of residential zone of a big city population, the city should be 90, 110%. Residential zone of a big city are necessary on each 1,000%, 9, 11 hectare. Group of city depend on population number. 4. Specific types of an arrangement of building in a quarter of a town planning practice. Next, perimeter, linear, and group. Level of groundwater of territory for building of many-storied building, not less than 2.5 meter. Transport zone include domestic, warehouse, functional zone or territory of countryside, inhabited, public and industrial zone. Specific of village planning, the soil should be healthy. Level of groundwater below 0.5 meter from the base of building. The territory should be insulated enough. Crossing of railway and highways is not recommended. Placing of public zone or village and its element should be placed in the village center. Into the zone enter administered building, mail, shop, kindergarten, and others. The factor influence on process of an urbanization, scientific and technical progress, sharp increase of scale of the industry. Positive sides of urbanization provide by work depend on professional level, centralized heating, electrical and water supply system. City agglomeration, the associated of settlement formed as a result of merge of small city and settlement with a big city. There are 5 classes between residential zone of a city and industrial enterprises. The minimum distance between residential zone of a city and industrial enterprises of first class, 2,000 meter, of second class, 1,000 meter, of third class, 500 meter, 4 class, 300 meter, of 5 class, 100 meter. Zone of placing of international and long-distance transport zone. Distance between house and a red line or street is residential to a village zone, 5-7 meter. For that then perspective plan, new building of big city are made for 25 years. The socio-economic, ecological and biological factor of a large city influencing human health are rather numerous and adverse. The major impact factor of our biological factor, not associated with or derived from living organism, not occurring or produced naturally. Such a biological factor are the result of environmental pollution by xenobiotic substance foreign to an enter-biological system, artificial substance which did not exist in nature before their synthesis by human. The urban environment changed significantly. The routine rhythm of life, psycho-emotional working and living condition as well as climatic condition. The climate conditions include intensive solar radiation, which is 15–20% low in city than in the adjacent areas, annual high temperature, daily and seasonal temperature variation, frequent fogs, high precipitation level, approximately 10%, and low atmosphere. Citizens direct all their energy and time in solving everyday problems involved in increasing working hours and decreasing leisure hours. The following factor: accelerated rhythm of life, distinctly expressed sedentary life, isolation from the natural environment, low natural environment level, water, air, and vegetation, numerous physical, chemical, and biological contaminants, develop negative biological trends in the lifestyle and health of urban citizens. The result is the so-called lifestyle disease, also sometimes called disease of longevity or disease or civilization interchangeable, are diseases that appear to increase in frequency as countries become more industrialized and people live longer. They can include Alzheimer's disease, asthma, cancer, stroke, depression, heart disease, and obesity. Such diseases account for about 50% of all death and 30% disability. The increased tendency is not related to age. Certain diseases, such as heart disease or asthma, appear at greater rates in a young population. There is a significant increase of heart disease at the age of 30, 49. Another effect is the risk of cancer. Higher rates of cancer of the colorectal, breast, prostate, endometrium, and lung. Tobacco smoking and alcohol drinking, as well as a lack of exercise, may also increase the risk of developing such disease. The size of city, population rate, determines the rate of cancer, especially lung cancer. Urbanized environment causes stress, dysynchronosis, fatigue, physical inactivity, and others. The stress. The stress impact on human is and can be devastating. Such stresses could be marital breakdown and death of spouses, which increase the disease rate up to 10 times. Meanwhile, divorce are connected not only with interpersonal relations, but also with the national economic condition, social change, and rate of inflation. Numerous researchers testify that unemployment as a stress factor also promotes different disease. Another stress factor in the various types of activity in different service and spheres which involve intensive and indirect personal communication. The cause of emotional stress is an unpleasant work environment or a host of biological and social demands which tend to work some-term vegetative response, while sympaadrenal system activity to mobilize the organism itself. Under enduring stress, the constant influence of hormones, developing stress responses, and serious abnormality of lipid, carbohydrate, and electrolyte metabolism result in malfunction, furthering disease of the cardiovascular system and gastrointestinal tract. Thus, stress could be pathogenic, best for neurotic, cardiovascular, endocrine, and other disease. Dysynchronosis is a physiological condition which results from alteration to the body's circadian rhythm resulting from rapid long-distance transmeridian travel on a jet airplane, overheating and overcooling, X-ray and ultraviolet radiation, impact on the noise and vibration, as well as acceleration. Its classified is one of the circadian rhythm sleep disorders. Dysynchronosis accompanies a disease. A circadian rhythm is a biological process which displays an endogenous entrainable oscillation of about 24 hours. These rhythms are driven by or composed of a circadian clock, and rhythms have been widely observed in plants, animals, fungi, and cyanobacteria. The term circadian comes from the Latin circa, meaning around or approximately, and diem or dies, meaning day. Fatigue is generally defined as a feeling of lack of energy and motivation that can be physical, mental, or both. Fatigue is not the same as drowsiness, but the desire to sleep may accompany fatigue. Apathy is a feeling of indifference that may accompany fatigue or exist independently. In addition, individuals often describe fatigue using a variety of terms including weary, tired, exhausted, malaise, listless, lack of energy, and feeling run down. Fatigue is common. A physical cause has been estimated to be responsible 20 to 60 of the time, while emotional or mental causes comprise the other 40 to 80% of causes of fatigue. Unfortunately, fatigue can also occur in normal individuals that experience intense physical or mental activity, or both. However, in contrast to fatigue that occurs with some disease and syndrome, normal fatigue in healthy individuals is quickly relieved in a few hours to about a day when the physical or mental activity is reduced. Another biological feature of the urban environment is the so-called built environment, within which a human spends most of his or her life and lives in the surrounding natural environment. Scientists determined that the human life expectancy is intimately related to green planet. Thus arises an ecological problem. The natural environment is contaminated and degrades gradually year by year. In large cities, transportation is a source of road congestion. Due to continuously increasing number of road vessels, long traffic delay is a common scene in large infrastructural requirement of urbanization. The process of urbanization has significant requirements, including the provision of water safe for household consumption and sanitation purpose, solid and liquid waste management, and housing and transportation networks. All of these are energy expensive, but they must be met, at least to some degree, to ensure a minimum standard of health. The rapid pace of urbanization in many areas has virtually outstripped the ability of local government to provide this service adequately. Additionally, promotion of economic growth has led to industrial expansion that frequently overwhelms the existing urban service. Epidemiological and hygienic problem of big city, difficult water supply, density of population, population of soil by organic and sewage, negative side of urbanization for the population, strengthening of chemical pollution of city air, increase in intensity of city noise, increase of probability of distribution of infection disease. Pollution is one of the many problems modern cities experience, no matter that their level of economic development. In the past, air pollution was often considered a matter of aesthetic and quality of life, but not of severe or health. Increasing scientific evidence has shown that the effects of air pollution on health are considerable, even in developed countries where the level of air pollution has been largely controlled. This has led to a re-examination of the need for air quality management. The negative effects of air pollution are now taken much more serious. Air pollution is usually concentrated In densely populated metropolitan areas, especially in developing countries, where environmental regulations are relatively lax or non-existent. The principal source of emission into the air are the direct product of economic activity in city, transportation, power production, home heating and cooking, and industrial production. The costs imposed by air pollution are most obvious in cities as well. Human health problems, destruction of material, plant and animal damage, poor visibility, loss of appeal for tourists, and reduced quality of life for residents. City and regional planning can make a great difference in determining air quality. The provision of energy-efficient mass transportation, for example, can greatly reduce air pollution from motor vehicles. However, if the city is large and spread out, mass transit may not be practical, and if it is too expensive, it may not be used. The location of industry in or near residential communities or in valleys, basins, or other landforms that collect pollution can aggravate the problem. Noise. The major source of noise are road and air traffic, construction, industry, and people. This type of noise are generally on the rise as urban centers become more dense, industry expand, and the need for transportation increase. Noise is of most direct concern in the workplace, where hearing loss most commonly occurs. However, as a result of urbanization or other, the globe exceeds the ability of city planners to protect residents from noise. Increasingly, it has become a generalized urban problem. Noise may cause physical, physiological, and psychological effects in humans. The physical effect of sound waves against the eardrum resulting in hearing loss is sometimes referred to as a direct effect. The physiological change that may register cognitively include sleep disturbance and psychological damage, and is considered indirect effect. As noted above, the immediate response to a noise stimulus often comprises a startle and a defense reaction. The startle reflex may be accompanied by an increase in blood pressure and pulse frequency of a very short duration, up to 30 seconds, and in extreme situations, an increased secretion of stress hormone. A review of the cardiovascular effect of noise reported that of 55 studies that assessed the relationship between noise and blood pressure, about 80% reported some form of positive association. The author noted, however, that there is a lack of qualitative data and it is difficult to assess strength of association or to derive a dose-response relationship. In any case, it would be difficult to distinguish the influence of noise from other environmental stress factors, which could also produce a slight increase in blood pressure. Exposure to noise can induce disturbance of sleep through causing difficulty in falling asleep, alteration of sleep rhythm on depth, and being awakened. Evidence suggests that sleep disturbance is one of the major adverse effects of environmental noise, and this may seriously impact normal functioning and health in exposed population. Noise can also give rise to headache, fatigue, and irritability. The exact condition under which sensitive individuals become vulnerable are not known, but it's considerable that other environmental strengths could act synergistically with motor vehicle accidents. Motor vehicle usage has increased dramatically around the globe. In 1950, there were approximately 53 million cars on the world roads. This has increased more than eightfold over the last 4 decades. with the global automobile fleet now over 430 million. This represents an average growth of approximately 9.5 million automobiles per year. While the growth rate has slowed in the high developing country, population growth and increased urbanization and industrialization have accelerated the use of motor vehicles. The growth of motorization exceeds the growth of population 5.2% per year between 1960 and 1989, compared to 2.1% per year respectively. By early next century, if current trends continue, the rapidly developing area of the world, especially America, Asia, Eastern Europe, and the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development Pacific region will have as many vehicles as North America and Western Europe, although per capita rates will remain substantially low. In developing countries, the mortality rate for motor vehicle accidents has been dropping over the last 70 years, even as the rate of vehicles ownership has dramatically increased. This has been attributed to the gradual improvement of road conditions, the establishment of higher vehicles safety standards, and increased driver training. Mortality and morbidity rates for a particular country are also associated with motorcycle, bicycle ownership rates. Drivers and passengers of this type of vehicles experience the same kind of vulnerability to serious injury or death as pedestrians. For motorcycles, those most at risk are 15–25-year-old. Additional negative factors influence human health are magnetic fields, electromagnetic fields with high frequency, ultra-high frequency, and super-high frequency. The magnetic fields from man-made sources generally have higher intensity than the naturally occurring fields. New technology involving the production of magnetic fields should be carefully evaluated with respect to potential health risks. Possible health effects have an impact on the nervous system. Electromagnetic energy influencing the enter receptor and extend receptor cause nerve impulses which further towards the cerebral cortex, hypothalamus, and spinal cord. Hypothalamus, functionally connected with hypophysis, basal gland, involves adrenal glands, the hormones of which affect blood composition, functioning inner organ and nervous system. The impulses passing through spinal cord and vegetative nervous system affect the function of inner organ. Physical inactivity, hypodynamia, is a medical term used to denote a type of lifestyle with no or irregular physical activity. 100 years ago, physical activity, 96%, was prevalent to physical inactivity, which include only 1%. The current level of physical inactivity are partly due to insufficient precipitation in physical activity during leisure time and an increase in sedentary behavior during occupational and domestic activity. Likewise, an increase in the use of passive modes of transport has also been associated with declining physical activity level. This lifestyle and lack of physical activity can contribute to or be a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and other preventable causes of death. Rapid urbanization has made it increasingly important to deal with issues that affect the health of urban population. It is estimated that by the end of this decade, roughly half of the world population will live in urban centers. The basic idea behind the Healthy City program is to improve urban health by starting intersectoral action for health at the local level, World Health Organization 1995, Bangkok. Therefore, the major objective of this program is to place health promotion high on the political agenda of municipal government. In addition to this local political community, the cooperation with various community groups, neighborhood associated and healthcare providers is essential. The healthy city concept refers to a process, not just an outcome. A healthy city is not necessarily one that has achieved a particular health status. Thus, any city can be a healthy city if it is committed to health and has a structure and process to work for its improvement. However, the framework of each program is additional and all healthy cities share a number of important characteristics. All programs are based on community to health. The program stimulates intersectoral action. The program promotes a more active role for the general public. All programs strive to promote health by stimulating the constant search for new and innovative ideas and methods. All of the above indicate action. Contribute to the outcome of a program, a healthy public policy. Soil hygiene. Lithosphere, the earth crust, mineral and organic covering of the earth, which extends from its surface to magma. It consists of lithosphere itself, which is formed from magma rock destroyed by physical, physiochemical, and chemical process before beginning of life on earth and soil. Soil forming factor, soil formation, or pedogenesis, is the combined effect of physical, chemical, biological, and anthropogenic process on soil patient material. The material from which soil formed is called parent material. It includes weathered primary bedrock, secondary material transported from other location, colluvium and alluvium, deposits that are already present but mixed or altered in other ways, all soil formation, organic material including peat or alpine humus, and anthropogenic material like landfill or mean waste. Types of soil. This characteristic of soil cause its main role for society, to provide people with food. For this reason, the soil is named as breadwinner. The soil structure includes various chemical substances. They get into human organism by foodstuff and drinking water. The concentration of microelements in vegetative and animal organisms is in the direct relation of their concentration in soil. Based on it, academic Vinogradov originated the Biochemical Province Decree, as it was stated by the absence or excess of any chemical element in soil leads to formation of a geochemical endemic. Last year, as a result of economic development, the vast quantity of chemical agents and compounds get to the soil directly or indirectly. It causes the forming of artificial biochemical province. For example, the maximum permissible concentration of lead, vanadium, fluorine, copper, nickel, cobalt, pesticides, radioactive nuclides, and other harmful substances close to big city and the large center of ferrous and non-ferrous metallurgy, chemistry, and petrochemistry are exceeded 10 times more. The soil contains mineral compounds, organic and mineral organic compounds, humus, microorganisms, soil water, and soil air. The soil is composed of firm particles and free space between them, filled by air or water. There are important mechanical properties of soil. Mechanic contents of soil and its hygienic meaning. Sanitary condition of soil depends greatly on its structure. Soil consists of dense, liquid, gas, and leaf components. Soil solution is water with solid gases, mineral, and organic compounds. The type of soil liquid component are firm, capillary, and gravitation water. Dense component consists of mineral compounds and humus, Biogeochemical heavy molecule dark-colored soil. Gas components ratio depends on amount of pores and the sanitary condition of soil. Soil microflora, plants and animals inhabiting depends on climatic and geologic condition. Mechanical analysis data make available the following division of soil: slimy, gravel, calalage, sandy, and others. The soil which contains the big size of grain, sand, subs, have a big pores. At the same time, the size of the pores is not very big. It's nearly 25–30% from general volume of soil. The soil which contains the big size pores have a good penetration for water and air. That is why it's dry and contains much air in it. The soil which has the small size of grain, its clay and peat, contain the big number of small pores. The clay have 45–30% of pores and peat have to 84% ones. In consequence, the soil of small size of pores, which have the grain of small size, have bigger dampness and bad penetration for water and physical characteristic of soil include soil porosity, air permeability, water permeability, soil moisture, capillarity, soil temperature. Soil porosity, total volume of pores in unit of soil volume shown in percentage. The filtration ability of soil depends on this characteristic. The more porosity, the less filtration. For example, at sandy soil it makes 40% and in turf 82%. The best condition for the process of self-purification is porosity 60–65%. Air permeability, soil ability to let pass the air. It depends on size of soil pores. It rises at high atmosphere pressure and decreases in accordance with soil layer thickness and moisture. High air permeability is a favorable hygienic characteristic because it makes for soil aeration by oxygen needed for oxidation of organic substance. Water permeability or filtration ability, soil ability to absorb and let pass the water coming with the atmosphere precipitation. This property is important for forming of soil water and is a resource in underground aquifer. Soil moisture, moisture volume kept by soil diatosorptive and capillary power. The less porous, the more moisture capacity. Soil capillarity, soil ability on water lifting by capillaries from deep layer to top. The more porous, the more capillarity. The soil temperature, cause on temperature of atmosphere surface layer, on thermal condition of premises, first floor and basement, and also on vital activity of soil microorganism and process of self-purification. The soil heating degree by sun depends on the latitude, area relief, and season. Hygienic importance of soil. Person live on soil, grow foodstuff in soil, gaze groundwater, greases green planting on ground, form climate and microclimate territory, cleans populated places from waste. The various representatives of soil flora and fauna are natural soil inhabitants. The number of is changeable and depends on soil composition, temperature regime, insolation, mechanical operation. The soil flora is fungi, algae, bacteria, and viruses. The soil fauna protozoa, nematodes, larvae, and of earthworm, mole, rays, and others. Soil organisms have direct and indirect influence on soil conditions, stimulating the process of self-purification and increasing fertility. Different methods are usually used for study of soil sanitary state. In sanitary practice, necessity of soil studying arises at construction of settlements, building, hospitals. For this purpose, the sanitary topographic investigation of the soil, based on geological composition of soil and level of subsoil water should be done. When the soil samples are taken for laboratory analysis, in the same time, in accompanying document, the next information should be indicated: the place and time of sampling, depth, meteorological condition at the sampling moment. When the hygienist prepares sanitary hygienic conclusion on soil samples and adds scheme of ground area that indicate object and places of soil sampling. The soil is the natural collector of solid and liquid waste, of human and animal vital activity, and that the waste can contain the agents of various diseases. Sanitary number of helminthiases is a ratio of humus nitrogen, pure soil organic substance, to total organic nitrogen, consists of humus nitrogen and nitrogen of strange for soil organic substance that contaminated it. If soil is pure, sanitary number of helminthiases equal to 0.981. Bacteriological parameter of soil: soil quality titer, soil anaerobic titer, perfluence titer, soil microbial number. Soil quality titer is a minimal amount of soil in gram in which one bacteria of Colibacillus group is found. Soil anaerobic titer, perfluence titer, is a minimal amount of waste in gram in which an anaerobic Clostridium is found. And soil microbial number is the number of microorganisms in 1 gram of soil that grow up on 1.5% beef extract agar at temperature 37 degrees during 24 hours. Parameter of sanitary state of soil present in this slide. Soil pollution is usually a consequence of insanitary habits, various agricultural practices, an incorrect method of disposal of solid and liquid waste, but can also result from fallout from atmospheric pollution. It's closely linked with the ultimate fate of the substances that are unlikely to undergo the natural recycling process to which petrifiable matter is subject. In industrialized countries, soil pollution is associated mainly with the use of chemicals such as fertilizers and growth-regulating agents in agriculture. Second, the dumping on land of large masses of waste material from the mining of coal and minerals and the smelting of metals. Toxic or harmful substance can be leached out of such material and enter the soil. Third, the dumping on land of domestic refuse and solids resulting from the treatment of the sewage and industrial waste. 4. The soil thus becoming irreversibly polluted with chemicals, including heavy metal and products of the petroleum industry, which can reach the food chain, surface water or groundwater, and ultimately be ingested by man. In many countries of the world, and particularly in the developing ones, soil pollution with pathogenic microorganisms is still of major importance. In such countries, intestinal parasites contribute the most important soil pollution problem as a result both of the improper disposal of human excreta, wastewater, and solid waste, and if incorrect agricultural practice. Thus, it is estimated that about 1/3 of the world population is infected by hookworm, while 1 out of every 4 people in the world may be infected with Ascaris lumbaricus. Intestinal infection spread by soil. Extremely dangerous infection, pleasure. Dust infection, tuberculosis. Virus infection, poliomyelitis, hepatitis, and others. Biological agents that can pollute the soil and cause disease in man can be divided into three groups. First group, pathogenic organisms excreted by man and transmitted to man by direct contact with contaminated soil or by the consumption of fruit or vegetables grown in contaminated soil. This ways, man, soil, man. Second, pathogenic organisms of animals transmitted to man by direct contact with soil contaminated by the waste of infected animals. This ways, animal, soil, man. And third group, pathogenic organisms found naturally in soil and transmitted to man by contact with contaminated soil. Soil, man. The ways of invasion by different infection spread by soil. Next, first ways, direct ways, through injuries of soil on foul surface, wound infection, a tetanus and gas gangrene, or dirty hands, and indirect ways, through the polluted soil, water, food, animals, insect vector, mainly through files. Also, the soil is natural habitat for grubs, sickle, or insect. You can find survival time of infection agent and helminthosis in soil in this table. For example, typhoid fever, survival time 1-2 months. Anthrax, many years. Poliomyelitis, 3-4 months. Helminthosis, 1 year and more. Example disease transmitted by soil. Anthrax. The number of reported causes of anthrax in man is relatively small compared with the figures for other zoonoses. Nevertheless, anthrax is still of importance both as a human disease and because of its economic impact on animal husbandry. The spores of Bacillus anthracis are very resistant to chemical and environmental influence and can survive for years in certain soils as well as in animal products such as hides, hair, and wool. When anthrax infection in livestock become established in a district, a relatively permanent enzootic focus of infection is created because of the long period for which the spores can remain viable in the soil during many years. Tetanus is an acute disease of man induced by the toxin of the tetanus bacillus growing anaerobically at the site of an injury. The organism has a very wide distribution. The causes of the disease are comparatively infrequent today. The infection agent Clostridium tetanus is excreted by infected animals, especially horses. The immediate source of infection may be soil, dust, or animal and human feces. Soil also transmitted parasitic worm or their helminths are characterized by the fact that the egg or larva become infected after a period of incubation in the soil. In a number of zoonoses, disease of animals transmissible to man, the soil may play a major part in transmitting the infective agent from animal to man. Leptospirosis. This disease affects both animals and man in all parts of the world. The epidemiology of the disease follows a characteristic pattern similar to that of other zoonoses, namely animal to animal and animal to man. In some areas, sheep, goat, and horses become infected. Rodent carriers include rats, mice, and wolves. The dispersion of leptospirosis is associated with specific environmental conditions, particularly those that bring animal carriers, water, mud, and man together, Animal carriers often excrete a profusion of leptospirosis, up to 100 million per 1 milliliter in the urine. If this is excreted into water or mud that is neutral or slightly alkaline, the leptospirosis may survive for weeks. Susceptible animals and men entering this environment are exposed to it again and may develop infection varying from an apparent reaction to an acute fulminating fatal disease. Leptospirosis usually enters the body through the mucous membrane or broken or macerated skin. Agricultural workers in irrigated fields and in reeds and cane fields in particular often become in soil also can spreading different endemic disease. The endemic disease confined to place and more or less constantly present through the year. The disease is always present at low level in the area. Disease, endemic disease transmitted by soil. Fluorosis is caused by a high concentration of fluoride in the water, more than 2 mg liter. Methemoglobinemia is caused by a high concentration of the nitrates in the water, baby first year of age in artificial feeding. Endemic gota as a result of iodine deficiency. The concentration of the iodine content in the soil and water is low in the hilly area. Soil self-auto purification. Self-regeneration of soil results in destruction of organic compounds to the level of mineral salts, nitrates, sulfates, carbonates, which can be consumed by plants. Pathogenic microflora perishes, suppressed by the antagonistic soil microbes associated and the soil chemical aggression. Helminths' eggs are being destroyed by UV sun radiation, hatching. Fetal seed produced by some plants are able to kill pathogenic microbes. Nitrification is the basis process of soil regeneration. It's the conversion process of restored organic nitrogen compounds into oxidated inorganic ones. There are heterotrophic and autotrophic nitrification ways. Heterotrophic nitrification is performed by living organisms, fungi include, which affect both organic and inorganic nitr compounds. Nitrification is the basic natural way of nitrate conversion. The optimum temperature range for nitrificating bacteria is 25–37 degrees. The process falls under 3 degrees and over 50 degrees. Most nitrificators are aerobic. Their growth and development claims good soil aeration. The most active nitrification process runs in porous soil with particle size 2–10 mm. This soil, sandy loam, and others. Soil cultivation and ploughing helps aeration. Soil humidity under 25–30% suppressed nitrification. Nitrogen cycle. The most interesting of all vital phenomena taking place in soil is disposal and utilization of organic matter. This is illustrated by nitrogen cycle. Steps. Organic protein burned in soil are decomposed by putrefactive bacteria, resulting in formation of amino compounds, and then these compounds are broken down into dioxide carbon and nitrogen. Ammonia in soil is converted into ammonium chloride or ammonium carbonate. In soil, ammonia is oxidized by action of nitrating bacteria, first into nitrates and then in nitrates. Nitrates are taken up by plants, which are in turn taken up by animals. If nitrates are found in soil water, it indicates pollution and signifies active bacterial action and presence of organic matter. Nitrates alone are index of past pollution only. Significance of nitrogen cycle, purification, if atmosphere, organic decomposition, fertilization, fire of soil increases. Taken in the liquid growth is represented by very important something in hygienic problem. Cleaning of settlement should represent the uniform system of action covering all territory of settlement. Process of bathing, removal, cleaning of territory, and neutralization of dross should be mechanized in the maximum degree, and contact of the population and the personnel carrying out clearing to dross should be whenever possible excluded or shown up to a minimum. It is a set of measures that provide for the fulfillment of hygienic requirements during arrangement and exploitation of equipment and facilities that are meant for collecting, temporary keeping, transportation, destruction, and utilization of solid and liquid domestic and industrial waste. These are amounts of substance and articles that have been created as a result of domestic, economic, and industrial human activity and cannot be used as a sense of their creation so that their accumulation and keeping make the sanitary condition of the environment worse. Waste are divided into liquid and slopes. Liquid, sewage from cesspool toilets. Slopes, from cooking and dish and floor washing. Wastewater, domestic, industrial, runoff, municipal, wastewater. Disposal of waste applied, incineration, sanitary landfill, composting. According to data from World Health Organization, 66% of municipal waste in the region is estimated to be deposited in landfill. About 20% is incinerated, 9% is recycled, and 5% for other treatment. As to industrial waste produced in the region, 70% of hazardous waste is still estimated to be deposited in landfill. 8% is incinerated, 10% is stabilized, and about 12% for other treatment, mainly recycling as secondary material. The accumulation of waste threatens the health of people in residential area. Waste decays, encourage household pests, and turn urban areas into unsightly, dirty, and unhealthy place to live in. The rapid increase in the production of waste is causing storage, collection, and transportation difficulties, as well as problem of treatment and final disposal. Storage is largely a local problem. It became acute in housing development and apartment block where adequate provision for storage has not been made. Collection and transportation have recently been intensively studied in various parts of the world using operator research technique with a view to improving efficiency and lowering costs. In conventional systems such as hydraulic or pneumatic transport in pipes are being developed, especially for new towns and residential areas. These developed which are very promising will eventually reduce collection. Collection and transportation cost vary widely depending on population density, route planning, the location of disposal city, labor costs. Careful planning of routes and of pick-up producing should make significant savings possible. Substantial savings in handling costs can be achieved by conservation, land disposal, and on-site treatment, both anaerobically or through the use of oxidation pools or aeration dishes. The most difficult problem, however, remains that of disposal. Because of the potential nuance involved, the choice of disposal city is often a source of serious controversy. Ideally, the site should be selected on the basis of regional study. Unfortunately, indiscriminate dumping is still practiced both on land and on sea. Incinerator, the scene is improving as combustion efficiency improves and greater control of obtained other gases emission. Even after incineration, however, a sizable volume of ash remains. Composting, although it has widespread popular appeal, has become increasingly economical as a means of disposal, both because of the changing nature of reviews and the difficulty in disposing of the compost itself. Waste is incineration. Of the technological option for waste treatment and disposal, incineration plants have probably undergone the most extensive technical evolution in the last 15 years, owing to concern about the emission of hazardous compost to the atmosphere. The primary function of an incinerator is to burn waste to a so-called inert residue. Until the end of the 1970s, the main part of an incineration plant consisted only of the oven and in due course a dust abatement device. Composting and sorting plants. As a method of municipal solid waste disposal, composting had a model role in most countries during the 1970s and 1980s, probably because compost produced from household waste is of low quality and not very usable. While composting and sorting plants do not pose potential health hazard to the population, problem may result from poorly managed open-air plants without proper system for odor abatement. Application of sewage, sludge, and compost to land. In theory, sludge from municipal sewage treatment plants and compost from the organic fraction of municipal solid waste are natural byproduct of the treatment of wastewater and municipal solid waste. They contain nutrients that are essential to the growth of food plants and forage. The return of sludge and compost to a land thus completed a nutrient cycle. The contaminated sludge are derived from domestic source, small business, and from industry. In industrial area, the main contaminants detected sludge are heavy metals such as cadmium, lead, zinc, mercury, and others. Traces of this element and compost are normally present even in sludge from domestic wastewater treatment plants. In spite of the industrial nutrient content, farmers are often reluctant to apply sludge to arable land. We worry about the long-term consequences even when the preventive measures mounted below are present. Sanitary landfill is everywhere the most popular method of disposal. While it requires the use of relatively large areas, it can be used effectively for land reclamation purposes. When properly managed, it can be inoffensive and avoid both air pollution and, to a large extent, leaching and resulting water pollution. A modification of the process is being developed in certain areas. Refuse is hauled relatively long distance by rail and disposal is combined with strip mining operation. Other processes still at the experimental stage include pulverization into a dense, homogeneous, and relatively inoffensive material. This process reduces transport costs and land area requirements for sanitary landfill. Investigations are also being carried out on the higher pressure compaction of refuse in the block of higher density. This block could be used as a filling material and for reclamation of derelict land. The importance of recycling in refuse disposal has been emphasized by the conversation mean. It's almost always a marginal operation from an economic point of view. Also aluminum, glass, iron, paper, and other material can be reclaimed. Various strategies can be used to reduce the amount of waste produced. Reuse, using a substance or recovered product for its original or a different purpose. Recycling, returning a recovered substance to the production cycle it came from. Energy recovery, using combustible waste fraction as Joule, and waste prevention, reduction at the source by substitution of raw material, recycling within the process, and introduction clean technology or modification of a product by analyzing its life cycle and using different raw material. Protection of soil. The system of integrated measures to prevent adverse effects of change in soil composition and public health, and divided two groups. First group, hygienic standardization of chemicals that have got contribute in soil. For example, determination maximum permissible concentration for harmful waste, chemical element and substance. Second group, legislative measures to protect the soil from pollution, sanitary cleaning of populated areas and others. Thanks for attention.